purposes. So we're
Okay,
recording for educational purposes.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Bill Filler, and I've been working with Edwin. Edwin is the founder of the process, and I've been working with him for about 4 years. And Larry's been with us for a while, and Maureen's been with us for a while. Shoshana's gone through the training. Dwayne is in the training. And we'll talk a little bit about the Empathy Circle and what it does. Again, I'm a retired special education teacher, and I worked for decades working with emotionally disturbed kids and kids in crisis. And what I found is that every act we do, even if it's throwing a book, is a communicative act. And in my work, when a child acted out that way, because I had children in extreme circumstances and had extreme behaviors, and they felt heard, then the violence and the acting out went down a great deal. And so this process is a process that I think that could change the world, and especially if it's adopted in schools and kids learn it at an early age. I think we could really change our culture to the better. Anyway, you'll see what it is, and you'll have a chance to do that. I am, just to let you know, I'll put my information in the chat in a little bit, but I am working to get it into schools, and I'll work with anybody who seems to be interested in that. My email is there, and then I have a regular Thursday session. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so this is the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy, and we have a vision for making mutual empathy a primary world value. And we think there are many benefits from that. The process that we practice is called the Empathy Circle. And as Edwin says, this is a great basic practice in order to really experience empathy. And as you learn this, feel free to use it, practice it on your own, adapt it for trainings. There are some people who, have done that already, and found it very useful. We are setting up a training, and the training right now, we have a training going on Saturdays. We will be setting up a training on Mondays later on in 2022, and probably early February or sometime. The date has not been determined yet. Until then, we will have periodic cafes like this, which you can attend. And we want to train all 7+ billion people. So our work is cut out for ourselves, and so we'll see what happens there. But it's definitely worthwhile. So the outline for the cafe today is we'll do a little welcome. We'll have some participant introductions. We'll talk a little bit about the training and then answer some questions. And then we'll give a brief explanation of how the Empathy Circle works. It's fairly simple, with just a few things that are a bit different from a normal conversation. And then we'll come back and do a full group debrief. The whole training will take about 2 hours, and then we'll go on. So I'd like to go around and ask the participants. I'll call on you, my screen, and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you are, and why you're interested in empathy. About 30 seconds or so, just a real quick thing. So I'll start, and we're getting a lot of people here. All right, so I'll have several circles. Okay, and so Hope, could you give a brief introduction, please?
My name is Hope Garrett, and I live in Baltimore, just north of Baltimore City. I have studied and moderated an MBC group for 5 years, and someone shared this information with me about a year ago, and I've been trying to get my life squared away so I could be here, and someone told me it's really lovely and easier than NBC, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and that is one of the strengths, at least in my opinion, is that it's very simple and very accessible.
Mm.
Andrew, could you?
Sure. My name is Andrew Nemmer. I'm a professional tap dancer, and I met Edwin at the Summit for Designing for Empathy. So that's why I'm here.
Great, great. Dorothy.
So I'm Dorothy. I'm a retired social worker, community organizer. I'm looking to develop practice, and this is going to just deepen my practice already, my experience that I've used over the years in actually developing it in schools with children.
Oh, great. Well, we have some things in common then. Craig.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. My name is Craig Mullins, and I am from Nova Scotia, Canada, currently living in Mexico City. And I've done some Peace Circle training with Kay Pranas, and I've practiced that very little bit over the last 5 years. But I'm embarking on a new career as a life coach, and one of my plans is to do group work. So I'm planning to attend several trainings to learn different ways of working with groups.
Great. Well, I hope you find this helpful. Garan.
Now, hello everyone. I am Garan. I come from Amsterdam, and now I'm really interested to practice empathy as a tool, and I want to learn more about how to implement it with groups. Then I think that's a good opportunity to learn how the people are doing it.
Great. Welcome. Brenda.
Hi, my name is Brenda Hearn, and I was invited by my brother Dwayne Hearn. And I'm a community counselor, community activist, and a longtime empathetic. So I'd like to find out what this is all about and further my skills.
Great. Excuse me. Welcome. Catherine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine James. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. And let's see, long story. I've been loosely involved with the World Happiness Foundation as well as a umbrella organization called Listen First for a long time. And I've been really come up through corporate America and design as well as design thinking. And for the last 10 years, I've been in startups and helping startups. And the last 4 years, I guess, most focused only on organizations that are doing everything to make the world a better place through UN Sustainable Design Goals and specifically around mental health and thriving. So I am both looking to further my own practice of empathy because I believe that kindness and empathy, you know, we're all connected, we're all interconnected, and it really is the basis of making the world a better place. And so that's the biggest reason I'm here, but I'm also looking for other practitioners and people who want to broaden the circle of scaling the whole world to be better connected.
Great. Well, we've come to the right place.
Feels like
okay.
it.
Cam, could you give a quick introduction, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Cam. I am calling from Australia. It's 5 a.m., so I'm still waking up. I was inspired by Larry to come over here and check it out.
Great, great. And kudos to you for getting up at 5 a.m. So we appreciate that. Brandy. Can you hear us, Brandy? There you go.
I'm Brandy. I am located in Virginia, and I work in the mental health field currently with intensive in-home and advocacy. And I'm going to school for social work, so I figured this would help kind of tackle empathy and help me understand it a little bit more.
Okay, great. All right. And Molly? There you go. You're still muted.
Unmute. Here we are.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry. Hi.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm Molly. I came across the link to this event on Extinction Rebellion London newsletter, where it was shared. So I live in London. So yeah, I was a member of Extinction Rebellion before I took a step back to homeschool and school my son, who is on Asperger's. And I'm self-learning how to facilitate for a school, which is based on non-violent communication. So that was the book as well I'm reading, and I'm just learning through the videos online how to do that. So I've been doing that with my son once or twice a week over the last few months, and I want to kind of develop that. And so I thought perhaps this would be a good workshop to join to learn a little bit more about empathy as well, as I think it would be useful to know how to do that and kind of perhaps facilitate even with a kind of community and community level, or even with the family level. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and share this space. Yeah, thank you so much for holding this space. Thank you.
Oh, great to have you. Welcome. I hope it's useful for you. And we just had Jamie. Can you hear us? I know you're Jamie. You're muted. No, you may be having some, Jamie might be having some, we'll try. And look, there's a dog that has joined us. That's okay. So the people who I've called on are essentially first timers. As far as if you're not, I made a mistake, I apologize. The rest of the people that you see here have taken the training or are part of, done the training or administered the training. And so at the end, we'll have a full group debrief and we'll all have a chance to talk. But in order to give everybody a chance to actually experience it, we'll kind of leave the introductions at that. I'll go over a little bit of the course training, and I will try to bring that up. I had that. And let's see where we are here. All right.
I do have that if you want me to do it, Bill.
Sure, go ahead, Edwin.
Okay, great. Then this is our training website. So I'm just going to do a screen share of that. And I'll put in the link. You can see the link here. And this is just to give you a little bit of an overview of what we'll be doing or about the training. This website gives a kind of an overview of the training. And I'll just go through and just give a quick introduction to it. It's this is the introductory training on how to facilitate an empathy circle and do empathic listening. And there's a video here that you can view. It's about 20 minutes. It goes really in depth. So I'm going to just like really whip through this really quickly. Our vision is to build a more empathic culture, and that's to raise the level of empathy and mutual empathy, openness, and care in society. And our mission is to train all 7+ billion people in the world on how to take part in an empathy circle. We really feel that if everyone just learns this basic skill, it's just as a sort of a gateway skill, it's going to really help just for greater well-being. And it's an open source training. So we invite you to use the training, to build on it, to co-promote it, to become trainers of it and use it in your own environment. So we're just really trying to spread the practice. The training is free by donation. If you can donate, we suggest anywhere from $0 to $300 for a donation. It's up to you what you feel comfortable with. And so that's the kind of that part. Then getting started. To take the training is a 5-week training for how to facilitate an empathy circle. And it's 2.5 hours a week. And then there's a prerequisite to take part in the training is that you take 2 of these empathy circles with us like you're doing today. So this counts as one of them. It's just to give you sort of the experience of taking part in an empathy circle before you try to facilitate it. We hold these Empathy Circle training cafes. There's a calendar of events here where you can see, you know, when they're held. They're held either on Mondays or Saturdays, varying dates. And you can just click through. So all these links you can click through to see more. There's the training commitment. It is, like I said, 5 sessions, 2.5 hours a week. And we also do empathy buddy calls. So for you meet with someone else in the training between each session for practicing an empathy buddy call for half an hour. And we also encourage you to try to hold empathy circles with family and friends during the week and then report back how it went. This is more on the training path. So you start as a participant. You just take the training, and then you can take it multiple times, and each time you start taking part in helping to do the training. So you start off as a participant, you become a trainee, you take it 3 or 4 times as a trainee until you become a trainer, and then you can start actually training others too. So we kind of ease you into that path. So it's not just 5 weeks, it's really at the end of this is maybe about after 4 or 5 months, you'll actually become a trainer of the whole process if you would like to. So you can move at your own pace along that path. There's we have certificates of completion now. You can click through there and see more about that. And we're really trying to build a community of mutual support. So we have we really support each other, and there's all kinds of different resources here for the support we do. And here are the sign up, so you can go through. This is the Mondays, the Saturdays. There's a cohort 12 series. That one right now is running and is in full. And then we'll be starting the cohort 13 series on Mondays in this time slot, maybe like January 31st. And then new cohorts and dates. And if you have, like, if your organization would like to have some training, we can also, and you can bring together a cohort on your own. We have people that can help train those. And there's all kinds of other, material here on more about the training, course references, testimonials. And you just click here on the side, you can see all kinds of other material. We have recordings of all the sessions. You can check the outline for each session. You can see the recordings and just a lot of other reference material. And our empathy site for all kinds of material. We have like the largest internet connection for empathy related material there. So that's just a quick zip through, and so we'll open it to any questions about the training before we move on. Okay.
Okay. We have another person there. Okay. What I will do is I will give you a brief how-to, the basics of the Empathy Circle, unless you want to show the video, Edwin. You're muted, Edwin.
I have the video if you want to show that.
Yeah, let's show the video. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just show the video. These are the basic instructions. It's just a 6-minute intro video, and let me set that up. Here we go. The how-to instructions.
Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. I'd like to welcome you to this short presentation on how to take part in a basic empathy circle. So next, let's look at the step-by-step how to take part. An empathy circle starts with 2 to 7 participants. Here on the screen, we have 4 participants, which I find is an ideal number. There are 4 basic roles, and the roles rotate among the participants as the empathy circle unfolds. 1, the speaker, is the first person to speak. 2 is active listener who actively listens to the speaker. There's the silent listeners, they quietly observe and witness. And the facilitator who organizes, schedules, and hosts the circle. They also do the timekeeping, and they have some experience with the process and help keep participants in the process. However, everyone has the responsibility to hold the process and the practice. So to begin with, the facilitator will start the empathy circle. They welcome the participants. They lead introductions if the participants don't know each other. The facilitator invites participants to give short introductions, for example, their name, where they're from, and something personal about themselves. The facilitator then reviews the empathy circle process to remind everyone how it works. They announce the discussion topic, if there is one. Even if there is a topic, you can always talk about what is alive for you. That is what is on your mind in the moment. And 5, they set the speaker time limits, perhaps 5 minutes, for example. And the facilitator then asks who would like to start to be the first speaker. So at that point, the participant volunteers to be the first speaker. As speaker, you select who will be your active listener, and you can select anyone that you want. You speak about the topic given or whatever is alive for you, and so you'll speak a bit until you have maybe expressed an idea or two, and then you want to pause to give the active listener a chance to recap what they understand that you are saying and feeling. If you say too much, the listener may have difficulty in reflecting it. As the active listener, you are listening to the speaker to get an understanding of what they're saying and what is important to them. You are giving them your full attention as a supportive companion on their inner journey and exploration. When the speaker pauses, you recap your understanding of what they said and how they feel by reflecting the essence of that in your own words. You can summarize, paraphrase, or even say the speaker's words back to them. Even though you may have a strong impulse to respond with your own ideas, judgments, analysis, advice, and sympathy, or even questions, resist the impulse to do so. Because these common responses block the speaker from moving along their internal journey. You will be able to say whatever you want when it is your turn to be the speaker. If you don't reflect the understanding to the speaker's satisfaction, they can always say it again. Then as speaker, you check, do you feel understood to your satisfaction? If you do not feel understood, you can say it again, perhaps in different words. If you do feel understood, continue sharing. Again, after speaking a bit, pause to give your active listener a chance to recap their understanding of what you said. As the active listener, you again share your understanding of what the speaker said and meant. The cycle of speaking and reflecting continues until you, as the speaker, do not have anything else you'd like to say, or until you get a signal from the timekeeper. If you get a signal from the timekeeper, then finish up what you're saying in a sentence or two. After you get a final reflection, you can end your turn by saying something like, "I feel fully heard," or something like that to indicate you are done with your speaking turn. At that point, the roles then rotate. The active listener becomes the speaker. The person they select becomes the new active listener. For everyone having equal time, it is good to select someone that hasn't spoken lately, but it is your choice. The others in the circle become the silent listeners. This process of taking turns in speaking and active listening continues for whatever time is allotted for the empathy circle. And this was just a very short introduction. The best way to learn the practice is taking part and doing it. There is more in-depth material on taking part in an empathy circle and facilitating one at empathycircle.com. Thank you for listening.
Okay. And then in the interest of full disclosure, this is sort of my training in doing the breakout rooms. And so when I was doing them, Edwin, I didn't see my name or your name in there. And so I've created 3 rooms.
Oh, I created the rooms. If you want to close that, I already created 4 rooms.
Oh, you
so,
all right. So
yeah.
you did it. All right.
I grabbed the power.
All right. The master at work. The master at work. Okay. All right. So are there any quick questions before we go in? But then we're going to try to get the Empathy Circle experience, which is really the nut of everything. All right. All right. Well, we'll see you in the breakout rooms. Then we'll come back here at about what? About 11:45?
Yeah,
12?
for a debrief.
For a debrief.
So I have about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I'm putting the question in, why are you interested in empathy circles, or what, again, and the training or whatever is alive for you. We have 4 rooms, so I'll be facilitating 1. Dwayne, are you there, Dwayne? Do you want to facilitate one with Bill supporting you? Okay, and then the other room is Larry. And then Maureen, were you good with facilitating one? And Shoshona will be in that room too, as sort of as a backup. So I think we're ready to go. And the facilitator will be the first listener, and we'll have, did I put the 3 minute, actually we can do maybe 4-minute turn, 3 or 4 minutes, up to the facilitator, how you think that things are going. So so here we go, and I'll send about a 10-minute heads up before we close the room. So see you in the rooms. And one group stays here with me in the weight room. So in this weight room, if somebody drops out of the call and then they come back in, they'll kind of come through this room. So we shall just give you a heads up about that. And let me bring up the stopwatch. Second, no, we'll have 4-minute turns. So you saw the topic, why are you interested in the empathy circles and the training or whatever's alive for you? And actually Kushima is in another room. I don't know why they haven't moved yet, but perhaps it's a technical issue. So whoever would like to be the first person will have actually 4-minute turns, and I've got the clock set here, and speak to me, and I'll reflect back to model the practice. Okay, where would I like to start? Dorothy, go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm gonna start with what is alive with me today. It's taken me a while to get myself organized to participate in the Empathy Circle cafes, and I find that I'm so busy all the time that it's hard for me to settle in. And today I really made a big effort to really listen to myself, actually, and to say that, is this important for me? Is this something that I want to do? And if in the new year, because it's also something, I just retired and I'm looking forward to doing something different, or not different, just a little bit differently rather than I used to.
Do you want to pause for a second? I'll just reflect back on hearing. So I'm hearing that you've been wanting to take part in this, and you just haven't been able to, but you said, hey, this is important, so I am going to try to take part, is sort of what I was hearing so far.
Yeah, that's really good. That's exactly it. You summarized it in like 30, like not even 5 seconds. So that's it. And then, so I'm glad I'm here, but with a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah, you're feeling a little anxiety. You're glad, feeling a sense of gladness that you're here, but also feeling some anxiety about it.
And curious as to how things are going to, how they're going to develop and how I can develop this in my practice in the community here in Montreal.
So just sitting with some curiosity, how can you use this and maybe apply it?
Yeah, I think
Still have 2 minutes if if you
I
feel
think-
heard, that's fine.
I think I
too.
feel heard, and
Okay.
I'm good.
Great. So I'll speak to Catherine, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm going to speak to you and you'll just reflect back what you hear from me.
Oh, okay.
And I just set the timer to 4 minutes. So I think you had said that you had done NVC training. I do want to say that the Empathy Circle, it comes from the same roots as NVC. It's based on the work of Carl Rogers, who developed the active listening, empathic listening process. So I'll pause there.
Oh, I've been involved in an organization called Listen First.
Oh, if you just reflect back what you're hearing me say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, you're the speaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You understand that I've been part of NVC, which is a training given by Carl Rogers. And
mm-hmm.
sorry, and you're curious about my experience with it?
Yeah, and I just realized that actually you're from the Listen First Coalition, which I'm also a part of. So I had mixed you up with somebody else, I think, is the problem. Yeah. So so I'm really glad you're here. It's great to have someone from the Listen First Coalition here.
It's great to be here. I haven't been as active as I was a early board and supporter. I haven't been as active in the last 6 months or so.
So if you just reflect back what you heard me say, just
okay. We're having a conversation here. I'm the active listener. You're happy to have somebody here from the Listen First. You've been a part of it as well, and so
exactly, yeah. So there was somebody rang the doorbell and I was thinking, should I go run who that is? I was hoping it wasn't my partner, because she locks herself out sometimes. And I didn't. So when I was listening, I heard that bell, but it only rang once. So I know it's not her.
So you were trying to listen, but you had something else going on in the background. So you hope you heard everything that was said, but it sounds like your partner, might not be there because you were thinking that it was her.
Because if it's my partner, it's like ring, 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 knock, knock, knock. And it was only one ring, so it was probably the delivery, like Amazon or something. So that was kind of on my mind.
All right, so you're a little relieved because your partner is a lot more active and urgent when she rings, and otherwise it's delivery. And so since it was one, you're relieved and maybe thinking you should go get your delivery.
No, I'm not thinking about my delivery. I want to be here. So
yeah, you didn't express that, so that was my error. I was being putting words in your mouth.
Exactly, yeah. And Kushima is trying to connect to the room. They're been put into room 4, but having trouble somehow getting into the room. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. You just reflect that last part.
So Kushima looks like she's been trying to get in the room, but is having difficulties. So maybe you're having some concern that you might want to help her get into the room.
Right. Yeah. So I feel heard. Yeah, I feel fully heard. So now you select who you want to speak to and they'll reflect.
Okay, great. Let's do Andrew.
Great.
Hi there. So I guess I'll talk about what's active for me, which there are a lot of things that brought me here, and I think that I first heard about this on LinkedIn, maybe. I don't even remember how I first heard about this, but empathy has been an active, I guess, question for me about that I feel it and I've experienced it, and I feel like I'm being an empathic listener, but I really don't know what it means to be an active practitioner and to be really good at it. And so I'm here because I want to be really good at it.
All right, let me see if I can reflect that. It sounds like empathy is a really important thing for you, something that you've been exploring, and although you can't remember what actually brought you to this training, it's something that you're trying to learn more about how to be like specifically an active listener, or more engaged in the technical aspect of things.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I feel like there's a broad understanding or definition of what empathy is, and part of me feels like it really needs to be defined and explored more for people in general, and also for myself, because I've been a person who I feel empathy for people, but I'm not exactly sure how to bring about if I'm doing the technical parts right. So yeah.
Yeah, it really sounds like you have kind of an intuitive feel for empathy, and that you're exploring what that looks like for yourself and for others in the specifics.
Yeah, I feel heard. Was that enough, or do I have more time that I need to speak?
It's up to you. If you feel like you don't have anything else you say, feel fully heard, but you have a minute and a half for still, if you want it.
Okay, and I feel like since I've been engaged with this, I've gotten more purpose about why I'm here. I think a lot of times I don't do things for myself. I do them for other people, and so I'm looking for things from a career standpoint and from a like a content standpoint, in terms of how can we bring the World Happiness Community and the active listen, or the Listen First community together. And now I'm feeling like this could be really a great benefit personally.
So it sounds like even in the time that you've been involved here, that you're finding connections between the different communities that you're involved in and how to bring them together.
I came with that purpose, but I'm feeling actually more like it's going to be a benefit to me personally, beyond the community's aspect.
Got it. So it sounds like the personal purpose is becoming more clear.
Yeah, for being here. Yeah. I feel heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess I will speak to Hope. Hi.
Hello.
And so my interest in empathy comes from my practice in the tap dance world, and just the idea of trying to more clearly articulate what happens among dancers when they dance together, and if there's some way to learn from that for folks who don't get to experience that in real life.
So if I may reflect back, your background comes from the tap dance community, and you are hoping to work with empathy circles to have more of a way to explain what happens between dancers when they dance, especially to benefit people who don't get to have that experience. Yeah. Did I hear everything that you said?
Yeah.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot that I feel happens in the dance world, in the jazz music world, around improvisation and relationship, that that folks who aren't musicians, that don't get to play in that way, are missing out on, and may find benefit in. So that's really that's really where I've come to meet Edwin through a conference and land here.
So what I hear you saying is that particularly in the aspects of jazz and improvisation, how people who don't play music would have a potentially difficult time really grokking what that experience is in those arts. And you're looking to have additional ways to communicate the beauty and importance of those arts.
Yeah, I think there's a really unique way of relating that happens on a bandstand that may serve as an interesting model in other places.
So the unique situation that happens on a bandstand, you're hoping to bring to a larger audience that might support people in ways yet unexplored.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Just the way jazz goes off in those directions that we can't predict.
Yep.
Great, great.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too. And who do I speak to?
It's up to you. You can speak. You could try Kushima. I'm not sure if they're really here, if they're in the other room. I think because they're on a cell phone. Are you here, Kushima, in this room, or not quite sure what the situation is? If you're muted. Yeah, I thought that there's some things. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, so I guess you could speak to me or to anyone.
Okay. I think I'm here for equal reasons of a dual track. And one is I'm really interested. I still very much am a 60s hippie and just want that world peace from every cell in my body. It just is what I cut my teeth on. And also for me personally, I had a really rough childhood of abuse and neglect. And I think a lot of people have had less than optimal experiences in their lives. And so to have other ways of connecting deeply. So it's both personal and for the world.
Okay, so I'm hearing there's sort of two motivations for being here. One is you're a hippie wanting peace and wanting to really promote that and see this as part of that. And then also for your own personal growth, that you've also had a difficult childhood, and there's maybe a healing aspect that you're looking for that personal growth, maybe healing.
Yes, that is definitely everything that I said. And I guess there's, as part of my own personal journey as well, my husband, his parents were both concentration camp survivors, and he had a rough childhood as well. And I would like to be more empathetic for him and not as reactive. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's also because of I think you said your father, his parents were concentration camp.
My husband.
Oh, your husband, his parents were concentration camp, I guess, victims, or had gone through that, and that you're wanting to really develop more understanding for him.
Mm-hmm. And to be less reactive.
Oh, and to be less reactive, not to react. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Nothing else alive for me right in this moment.
Great. Then
other than I do want to invite a bunch of friends to hop on board.
Yeah, you'd like to invite others to join in these circles. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just checking, Kushima, are you there? You're kind of popping in and out. Don't know if you're. Yeah, it's on a cell phone, so it's some kind of a strange connection. Hope you can get that worked out. There might be a button where you can join the room 4. You were invited to room 4, so I'm not sure if you're here or there. So I don't know if you're hearing us. So, so anyway, I'll speak to Dorothy then. Okay. Yeah, one of the motivations for my kind of throwing myself into working on empathy in the empathy circles is my parents were German, but they lived in the eastern part of Germany. So they went through a lot of the horrors of World War II, you know, with all the family members on my father's side being killed, and on my mother's side, you know, everybody, the women were all raped by Russian soldiers. So just how to, you know, just addressing those kind of horrors and keeping that from happening again was one of the motivations for fostering empathy.
So if I can, Edwin, the reasons why you got involved and really dived deeply into empathy and practices is because of your background, the history that you carry, the trauma that comes from your parents' experience in Eastern Germany. And it was a way for you to heal.
Yeah, I think
it's to find healing.
Yeah, I think it's not so much healing. It's I think to contribute. It's like, hey, here's this problem. Humanity has this tendency of just this brutality. And it seems to me that mutual empathy is sort of the healing aspect to it. So it's, yeah, it's more like, let's head off these problems before they start. So I guess there's a sort of a practicality for the well-being. I don't feel like I need to heal personally so much. It's more kind of a bigger social picture to head off these problems.
So what I'm hearing is it's not a healing process for you per se, but it's really a more because of the experience that your parents have, that they transmitted to you through stories, I suppose, is that you took it to want to prevent anything like that from happening, and bringing the world and making the world a better place through empathy. Because then if we had empathy, then we could avoid what, for example, your parents had gone through.
Yeah, and I'm just going to move Bill to the other room too. That's what happens. People drop out, they come back to this room. Okay. And yeah, that's exactly it. It's yeah, I did hear all those stories, and so I guess I'm kind of identifying with, you know, Hope and her, you know, her husband, and that, you know, that European was quite the, you know, I mean, a lot of horrors, you know, I mean, you know, tens of millions of people, you know, dying in Central Europe, and a lot of suffering. And it does seem to me that mutual empathy is really the solution to it. So that's my dedication to that.
So what I'm hearing is it's your dedication to that practice, to that movement, is really to prevent horrors from repeating themselves. And this sort of what inspired you was listening to Hope and her background and her reason why she took, or she's here also. Yeah.
And then the other part is too, we have about democracy. I see this as like the core of democracy. What we're doing here is everybody listening to each other, right? Everybody gets the space to feel heard, versus the power over model, which is, I think, what caused a lot of those problems. So this is kind of like the core of democracy, what we're doing, where everyone gets a voice. So it's really supporting that democratic impetus.
So what it is for you, if I can reflect back to you, is that the empathy circle, or the empathy movement, is a way to materialize concretely the democratic process, and sort of get away from the power
over
model.
Yeah, power over model. This is sort of the power with versus power over model. Yeah.
Right. So it's the capitalist power over dominance, and sort of equal human space.
I feel very well heard. Thank you, Dorothy. And now you can choose whoever you wish to speak to.
I could Hope.
Hi.
So I'm very touched and moved by listening to each of you. The reasons behind your being here, and I feel that it really joins. I'm sorry, because I think in French. I'm trying to speak in English. I'll leave you with just that, or if you want to reflect that, that'll give me some time to just regroup my thoughts.
My brain went into the humor, and I'm thinking about you thinking in French, and I've dropped a piece before that. I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's okay, because I don't think it'll help if I spoke in French to any of you.
I think you started to say that you were happy to hear, you enjoyed hearing what everyone had to say, and that you felt that the reason to be here was to join, and then you went into French.
My French. So, and how it's amazing what what I can get from this experience is how I can apply it to trauma. I work in trauma. I worked in trauma for my whole social work, community organizing career, and how it actually really looking for healing practices that are away from the justice, the system that we have, which is the other way that we try to repair trauma.
So what I hear you saying is that you are really having a light bulb moment where you're seeing how you can apply this work to the trauma work that your whole professional life so far has been based on, and that you intuitively knew that there was more than just the justice system, and that you're looking for these various modalities, and you could see this being one of the modalities you could bring into a new approach to trauma.
Yeah, because when you work with victims, whether it's children or adults, most often we look for justice. We want justice for harm done, and and so what we have in our system right now is the justice system, and oftentimes I found that does not bring peace to the victim, whether the person is found guilty or not, the aggressor, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't. It's just the rawness of the violence is still there. With I can't speak for the aggressor because I never really worked with the aggressors, but I can speak for the victims who takes years of work, and they're stuck with pain,
So what you are realizing is that the only tool that is primarily used is the justice system, and it doesn't really bring any relief to the victim, and you're not certain about the perpetrator because you haven't worked with them, but for the victims who go on for years and years being stuck, that you feel that having these other tools, you could really begin to see some different type of movement that is possible.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that's why I'm interested in children, because that's where it begins. So if I retired from what I was doing for so many years, and now I could do whatever I want. I could work with kids in schools and it would be as a volunteer, lending my.
Your screen froze. I'm not sure if it's my
experience, my knowledge, and no, it's me, because I'm all the way in Canada, and I'm just
cold up there. It unfroze. So this
yeah.
this most recent thing that you said is that you really like the idea of working with kids because that's where it starts. And now that you are retired from your obligation in your work, you can do anything that you want to do. And your idea of working in schools is really, I can see it touching your heart and it lights up your face.
I feel so heard. Thank you, Hope.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So now do I listen
Now
to-
it's Hope, the listener becomes the speaker and selects their listener. So Hope, you again, you select whoever you'd like to speak to.
Okay. I would like to speak to, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the lady who is with the World Happiness Foundation.
That's me. Hi. It's
Hi.
Catherine. My name's Catherine.
Catherine Hope. Hi.
Hi. Can you see me?
I can. Can you
Okay.
see me? Can you see me? I'm in a little box on my screen.
I can see you. Yes.
Okay. So I am feeling really enthusiastic about empathy circles because of the effort that NBC takes to really do all the steps like the dance steps and those sorts of things. There's just a lot of other focus that is wonderful and great, but I like the idea of having an easier tool to use, to have more handy.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've been involved in NVC and you've been learning and training with that, but you're excited about something that's more straightforward with this type of training and feel like it can be more useful for you.
Mm-hmm. And I have some anxiety about a 5-week commitment, and then like 4 or 5 of those 5-week commitments, all of a sudden I'm sort of a perpetual student who has just put so much in my brain. I'm really tired. I'm almost 70 and I'm just like, when do I get to play the bass and make art?
I hope you can't be almost 70.
I'm 68 and a half. Yeah.
Regardless of your age, you're feeling tired because you're consuming a lot of information all the time as a perpetual student, and so the time commitment to be involved in the empathic circles is 4 to 5 weeks plus the additional months. So you're a little nervous about how much time and how much energy you have to commit to it.
Yeah. I've been self-employed for 40 years as an astrologer and a feng shui consultant. So I was one of the first in our country. And it just took, I traveled the world and I studied with masters and still study after all this time. And it's just so much left brain, so much. And my right brain is just like, please, please give us some ease. Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, so you've really been in heavy duty left brain mode with science and really the technical aspects of astrology and feng shui, and you're looking for some really creative release in something like this. So, or just you're looking for some creative release.
Yeah.
So you're anxious a little that this will provide that kind of creative release as opposed to more for your left brain.
I think I didn't really know. Yes, what you just said. Yes. And I didn't really know, like I thought maybe today was the whole training, like this one get together because I just didn't know. So so there's a good piece of my internal experience that is saying, this is more of everything that you already do, all the math, and I mean, it's not the math, but it's still like having to learn. And my bass just sits over against the wall, and it's like so and I have a lot of anxiety about what's going on in the world with COVID and the forcing the vaccine mandate is I'm just looking at these Aboriginal people, and it's sad. It's really sad. So that's like all kind of, boiled up, where I'm like, oh, just like when I'm getting ready to start making art and music, and now there's going to be this shutdown, and like, or like this, the world is different now. I can't just jump on a plane and go teach in Japan like I was supposed to. So it's just yeah, so that's kind of bubbling. Yeah.
See, yeah, you're feeling like kind of the external pressure of overwhelm of the things that you can't really control, like the COVID shutdown and things, and you've been really craving. This is like coming at a time when you've been really craving more creative release and ability to express your music and help other people express their music and travel, and so selecting a time commitment of doing this over a number of weeks when the rest of your life feels a little in turmoil, feels like a lot more to absorb right now for you.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Hope. That was great. Okay, that means I get to talk again. I don't know what to talk about. I need to pick someone first, right? So we're down to a few of us. Okay, Dorothy, let me pick you this time.
Okay.
Now, I've just really enjoyed hearing where everyone is coming from already. I have been working with a lot of different people throughout COVID, and I've the pandemic, I should say, the shutdown and everything. I have worked from home and enjoyed that for the most part, but I'm also feeling somewhat disconnected, I guess, with where are things going. I've spent the whole first part of this enjoying the solitude and the ability to kind of shut down all the I just think like excessive consumerism, excessive superficiality, all of those things, and really enjoyed really focusing on what I wanted to focus on. But coming into this now, I feel more like a sense of belonging and connectedness with you all because of the way that we can share just what's going on and why we're here.
So, Catherine, if I can summarize a little
Sorry, I
bit.
should have said that in French.
Go ahead. I'll reflect it back to you in French. No, just kidding.
That might be very hard to understand.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Or Greek, because that's my background. So what I'm hearing is that you're happy to connect, happy to be able to reconnect with human beings. But for you, the pandemic was actually a good thing. You experienced it in a positive way because it allowed you to stay home, kind of disconnect from the outside world, just bringing back to just being with you in your space. But now it's like, it sounds like there's a need or a desire or a wish to reconnect and to see, reconnect with people. And
oops, frozen. Frozen
and reconnecting here is something. Okay, am I back? Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. Okay. Back. Okay. So I do this because I think it helps when I get back. No, I'm just So you're just reconnecting here with us today is something that you like and that you appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciate it because I feel like the more real we can be with who we are and what we're experiencing, the more we can, I don't know, I guess it gets back to what Edwin was saying, the more we can get to what's real and what's really real in life. And so the small talk, I'm not big on that. And I'm also feeling like being able to listen and iterate back what someone is saying, I can sort of see both sides of it. I can see where like you're being accurate in what I was saying, and then me saying, okay, I need to be more clear in when I speak. So it's actually a really interesting learning experience on both sides. But yeah, the pandemic, it has been more of a focus on kind of filtering out the stuff that doesn't matter and really getting down to what really does matter. And so some of that's solitude, and some of that is just getting more to what's important and what matters.
So,
Dorothy.
So what's interesting is the connection.
Dorothy, you were breaking up. Oh, yeah. If you put it, if you turn your video off, that might help with the bandwidth.
Yeah, you can see my nice sphere, right?
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. So what I think is interesting is the connection, or that I'm hearing a connection between just what that pandemic has been what you've been able to experience. It's not just the solitude, but it's the being eliminating what's or discovering what's not as important. It's not essential. And what I'm hearing is that it's allowing you to, and through this practice, to be authentic. So it's like the pandemic cleared up, or it's almost like, cleared up what you didn't need anymore in your life, and it allowed you to become more authentic. And so this practice is something that you feel can be practical way of expressing yourself, and the mechanics of it, the technical aspect of communication.
That's great. I feel very heard. Thank you.
Okay, Dorothy, it's your turn to select the listener. Maybe Andrew, who hasn't.
Okay, Andrew. So Andrew, if I freeze again, I'll just stop the camera. Okay. I don't really have anything else that I wanted to say. I think I could say though that I do listen a lot. I still do some of my private practice so I accompany a lot of people who are suffering right now. So I'm usually listening and talking a lot every day, practically, even though I've retired from the public sector. So I think at this point, I feel like, wow, okay, this is really cool. I really don't have anything I really needed to say. I could just listen to you guys.
So that feels really easy to reflect back. It sounds like you have a practice of listening and speaking quite often, and at this very moment, you have spoken fully, and you are. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Yeah. I think it just lags after a while. I'm on automatically. So yes, I feel fully heard, Andrew.
Lovely. Great. Well, that was quick. I guess, is it okay if I speak now? All right. Okay, cool. So
just select your listener.
All right. How about Catherine.
All right, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
So the thing that's most alive for me right now is I'm just resonating with two things that were said earlier, one by Hope and one by you, where Hope was recounting having a life as a freelancer and kind of the disruption that the past 2 years have done to that regularity. And the thought that you mentioned around the same disruption posing the question of what's really important. And I think where I'm at right now, those two things are very, very present for me.
Okay. So I'm hearing that you've been listening to us talk about a couple of things that are present for us and really connecting with those. And one is as an artist and the act of getting out and connecting with people and how the pandemic has really affected that for you and in your life and that physical aspect of connecting with people. And you know, that sort of partnered with what has happened with getting down to what really matters in your life with the pandemic as well. So
yeah, and I think both those things are connected with me being here as my work shifts from being primarily connected to the entertainment industry, even trying to tell stories in that space, to using the skill sets that I have in more, for lack of a better term, more like practical healing spaces or spaces that are really specifically defined for relationship.
yeah, so you can see how this bringing us together around the empathy circles is really something that you can refine the skills that you've had, but maybe aren't able to use as much right now because of the pandemic and everything, and seeing that these are new skills that you can bring about that can perform similar functions of helping people heal.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's good. So where am I? Who's who now?
You're the speaker again. You were the listener. You become the speaker, and you select your listener, and whatever is alive for you just keeps going around.
Thank you. I'll select Hope then. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Hi, Hope. I hope that that you aren't too tired to listen now.
No, no, it's more big picture tired. No, this is great.
Yeah, the act of listening is what I'm feeling is difficult for me in this whole thing is that I love to converse about these things, and every single one of you have said something that just sent me off onto an entire tangent of how I want to have a conversation about more of that, whether it's the collective trauma or the individual trauma and the roles that that trauma has played in people's lives, but also the expression, the different forms of expression of healing, and how empathy can take many forms. But just like being in this place here, I guess what's difficult for me is to not go off on those tangents and to actually just listen and understand where we're all coming from and what we're bringing to the circle.
Okay, well, I heard your compassion and empathy and making sure that I wasn't too tired to have this conversation. And I really got what you said about your interest in all of the things that everyone had to say, and they felt very much like shared interests, and felt like an invitation from inside of yourself that you really would like to explore these conversations with each person about something that they brought to the table, whether it be global trauma or individual trauma, and that your job was to keep yourself more focused on what someone was saying and to try to not let yourself be entertained by the possibility of these other conversations.
That's right. So lots of good things coming to the table here.
Nice. So a lot of good things. You're appreciating many aspects of participating today.
I am, yes. And I guess that's all right now. I guess I really look forward to what comes next. I mean, I see how good you all are at this and how far I have to come in participating and really active listening and transforming the words without letting my mind go off on the conversation I want to have. So I'm understanding why 4 or 5 weeks is probably just barely scratching at the surface of getting really good at this.
Mm-hmm. So you were beginning to really see why it would take a bit of time to develop the skill set to have the kinds of conversations that empathy circles can bring. And you felt that other people were further along in that skill set. And you were started with the idea that you were really excited looking at what was possible with continued involvement with the group.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I did not get?
No, you're really good at this. I feel very heard. Thank you.
Good, good. Okay, may I choose Edwin?
Yep, listening.
So what's alive for me is feeling a bit less than if my emotions want to vent, or whether that be now or whether it be in a difficult conversation. So there's still a judgment, and maybe it's okay that that judgment be there, but
I think I'm hearing that you have a sense of self-judgment about venting certain emotions.
yeah, I think I'm really angry, and it's never really come out very much, except in arguments with my husband.
Do you think you have a lot of anger that doesn't really come out except with your husband, and just maybe feeling a lot of grief around that too?
And it doesn't match up with the construct of my ego personality. It's, the healer, the astrology, the woman who has studied human potential. It doesn't match up with any of that. And yet it also is, it feels like it's okay that it has a home. And it just pisses me off that the world has to have so much stuff that everybody has to end up dealing with. It's I'll let you reflect that before I go to the next piece.
Okay, yeah, so the anger that you have, it doesn't match up with your identity of being the healer and doing all these different things that you do. And there's I don't know if it's some sadness about just that the world has those qualities to it. It's just part of humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the last part of that, like, compost is that I just thought it was always going to keep getting easier. Like I thought, you know, you go through the school and you go through the career and then it just keeps getting easier. And that's not the case. Not the case. 26 years in a marriage and it still isn't easy. I'm like, what the hell? Eeh.
Yeah, so doing all these different trainings, doing the relationship work, all this stuff is, hey, it's supposed to get easier. All these workshops I'm doing is supposed to get easier, and it's not easier. It's tough, it's difficult, it's a struggle.
Right. And I also I think it was Catherine or Dorothy said that you don't like the small talk. You don't like, you know, I abhor small talk. Like there was an actress who said, talk to me about deep things or don't talk to me at all. I mean, I could be that dramatic. So this kind of work meets that criteria of it's got to be deep and important.
Yeah, so you really agree. You have the same experience. You don't want to deal with small talk, just like Catherine, and you want something deep. And this is addresses more of that space for deep discussions, deep sharing,
and how real it is, and how alive and in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
really
very
sharing. Yeah, it feels like, hey, it's alive, it's in the moment, and that's sort of what you're looking for. And that was your time too. Do you feel heard?
I feel completely heard. Thank you.
Okay. Speak to Andrew.
Listening.
The clock. Yeah, what do I want to talk about? Yeah, in terms of the empathy circle, it's like you can share anything you want in the empathy circle. You know, any feeling. If you want small talk, you can do small talk. If you want to do strong emotions, it's wherever you are. The empathy circle is a place to be that, and you'll be heard to your satisfaction. So that's sort of like an underlying principle.
So what I'm hearing is that as you explain the purpose of the empathy circle, you can talk about anything. There's a very, very broad range. It could be something very, very small or something very, very large and important. And that's part of the deal.
Yeah, that it's to just be wherever you are, feel comfortable with who you are, that if you're wanting to be superficial, be superficial. If you want to be deep, be deep. If you want to be joyous, be joyous. If you want to be sad, be sad. It's just be wherever you are. There's no pressure to say, you know, to be any way, but wherever you are, you will be heard by someone to your satisfaction.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a underlying thread of just being able to be present in wherever you are and however you are in that moment, and that the circle allows for however you show up to be reflected and to be heard.
And we use it also for conflict mediation. So we bring in like the political left, political right, and they're like all pissed off with each other. And when people just start hearing each other, they start seeing each other's humanity. And you start going deeper, you know, over time anyway, I think, just by having a space to be heard. So, yeah.
And it sounds like you've even used this in situations where the conflict is innate. It starts at a point of really big things in opposite directions. And you've seen people as they begin to listen and to hear each other, that they go deeper with each other.
Yeah, and we do family mediation. So just thinking it's not like, hey, in a family, I'm going to do all the listenings. About how about we do mutual listening? Let's have an agreement that we have like an empathy circle, and it's going to be mutual listening. So I think that mutuality is a big piece of it. That everyone, you know, it gets heard, but everyone has to listen too. So you got to be able to take the stuff that's being thrown at you too. You got to be able to hear that.
Yeah, it sounds like even in an application that's not so formal, but in a family where it's very intimate, there's a learning around mutuality and like common speaking and listening, so that everybody gets a chance to both speak and be heard.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's that's an important part is, for a culture of empathy means that everyone gets heard, but also is willing to listen, no matter, judgments, whatever comes at you. You got to be able to reflect, like, you're an asshole. Well, you got to be able to reflect back. I'm hearing you say I'm an asshole. Is there more? It's like,
it sounds like the idea of mutuality is kind of key and actually pushes some of the regularity of conversation that we might be used to in regular life. The idea of reflecting things that we don't want to hear, or that we might not want to be able to, or might not be able to hear, is key.
yeah, very much so. So that was my time. I feel fully heard.
And I will speak to, wait, who haven't I spoken to?
We're just repeated, I think.
Yeah, I'll speak to Hope. I think, well, I think the only thing that I'd like to share is the hope that I get from having a circle like this. I think there's a lot of unknowns in my life right now, and being involved in or meeting people who are involved in creating tools that lead to good things, or have the potential to lead to good things, is just really exciting.
So what I hear you saying, Andrew, is that the main thing that you have coming into this is that there is a lot of uncertainty going in your life right now, and you see a lot of hope potentially coming out of this and being some good tools that you can use to further the directions that you're being called to move in.
Yeah, there's having I've been a dancer for 37 years, and having that, maybe not be the primary mode of my work moving forward, is an interesting shift to walk through.
So as a dancer with 37 years of experience, realizing that there might be something else moving to the front burner for your work is feeling a little interesting, but perhaps a little unsettling at the same time.
Yeah, so finding, searching for different tools, different ways of working, and seeing what resonates. I think this is one of those moments for me.
Nice. So seeing these different tools and different directions, and then having the freedom to see what resonates with you is feeling like it's contributing to your career choices.
Yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Right. So that person went into another room, we weren't certain if someone was on the phone. So is there another person that needs to speak?
It's Dorothy. So I don't know if you're seeing Dorothy.
Oh, I thought there was another name I didn't recognize before.
Yeah, they moved to a different room, I think, finally.
Is there anyone that has anything alive that they would like to speak, or is it imperative that I speak next?
That you speak and then you select someone and just keep the flow going, the process.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see. I'll choose Dorothy this time.
It would help if I unmuted myself to say I'm listening.
So let's see. I feel a sense of relief that that maybe if I move forward with Empathy Circle training, that it won't have to be as left brain as much of the as so much of the other stuff that I've taken on in my life has been.
So what I'm hearing is that you're feeling relief, that the training may actually be using more right brain than left brain, and give you that what you're looking for, actually.
Yes, and also that I could invite some friends in, especially during this time when everyone is a little more socially isolated.
So it might be really, really nice to be able to invite some people you know who are isolated to this process.
Yes. And I actually think my husband might participate, not in the full training, but in one of these cafes, and that makes my heart happy as well.
I think that having your friends or the people you know and your husband participate also in the training. I'm an empath, but I sense things, so I'm so sorry. I sense when you said about your husband, so happy. There was joy in that, in your voice. I'm sorry, I'm interpreting, but
Oh no, it was right on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that your husband participates in the cafe, not in the training.
Yes, and I think for a sense of completion in my mind, I just wanted to share that I didn't realize that I could have everyone up at the same time. I mean, I've done that, but not for a little while. And so I was only looking at one person, and that's why I couldn't remember Catherine's name, because I didn't see your picture until we were up. And so it's really a whole different experience to have everyone up at the same time. It's a fun party.
So you realize that you only had one view of each person speaking, and now you have a gallery, you could see everybody, and that's a really cool experience for you, that you can see everybody at the same time.
And that was true for the first half of my talking. Okay. So it just feels symbolic of where I am in my life right now, like wanting more of the inclusion of the group.
So in the beginning, in the first half of this workshop, you were able to see everybody. So this just sort of confirms what you really need is to feel that inclusion and to feel in that group. So seeing everybody and not one-on-one.
Yeah. The first half was the one-on-one. Yeah.
Okay.
And I also want to mirror what Catherine said about like really enjoying the solitude time. And it was, as an introvert, it was wonderful and luscious. But then after enough time, you sort of do realize like, hey, there's a benefit to that other way that we used to live.
So you also resonated with what Catherine was saying earlier about being alone, the solitude, which was really, really good. But also now having had quite a bit of time in that solitude or that separation of others because of, I say, the pandemic, right? That you can actually now reconnect with people, which is what you've been missing.
Yeah, and I think the last thing is also something that Catherine shared, which is I really do want to have conversations with everyone about different things that they've individually brought up and how interesting I have found everything that everyone has said. Yeah.
And so you just lastly like to say how much you enjoyed listening to whatever everybody here had to say, and that it's also something that you would like to develop or even go a little bit further and continue sharing with us on the different topics.
Yeah, on the topics that individuals have brought up about their own life and journey.
So for specifically, you mean like just what brought them to this space, or what brought them to, because it's something that we also shared here in our group, right? So being able to listen to the stories.
Yes, and also just the human conundrums that we face, and like what's the next step, and that, you know, just in our career or our work with Empathy Circle, you know, just the growth of a person and their process. Yeah, am in love with that. Yeah.
So it really kind of, it's a sort of you're attracted to and that you're looking for, maybe the word that comes to mind is thirsty for, is to be able to share in that exchange with others, the human condition, the human experiences, and how we all get sort of stuck, or we all have our moments and our transitions, and it's just the sharing that you're looking forward to.
Yes, but the final thing is there's something specific about doing it within the empathy circle. There's something like especially rich about this. Yeah.
So what I didn't get in the previous times that I tried to reflect with you is that you wanted to bring it in and say that it's through the empathy circles that you can find that would be possible.
Yeah, thank you.
For. Right?
I feel totally heard, and I didn't even say that the first time, so good job. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
I have time for one more round if you want to speak to someone. Got 4 minutes.
So Edwin.
Yep, listening.
Okay. So I guess in listening to the last bit, what really inspires me to share is that what I found part of that I think that in empathy circles is really cool is to listen to the stories. People have stories, and I think it's not just about empathy, it's empathy, but it's listening to the story that the person has, that a person is carrying, which is part of the healing process as well.
So you're seeing that part of it is really listening to people's stories, and hearing their stories has a healing quality to it.
Yeah. And that just brings me back to what you guys that I heard throughout about trauma, or trauma, be it in the present or in the history, and how through storytelling and really listening to the storytelling and reflecting back, it's not just about the words. It's almost like there's a feeling, there's something that gets transmitted, or that is shared or heard or understood or felt.
Yeah, so in the listening, it's just not like listening to these words and reflecting back the words. It's listening for the deeper story and the reflecting of that story, and maybe the emotions behind the story. And that sort of you're seeing that as maybe the healing quality is hearing those deeper stories.
Yeah, because we're all a lot about words in our world, and emotions have a harder time being conveyed. And I'm wondering, and I'm just listening and hearing, even with Hope's expression of her feeling through what made her feel sad or angry, and the way that you reflected it back to her was very powerful. And that's what it was for me. It was like, wow, I saw it in action. And that exchange of telling and hearing or reflecting back brought Hope, I think, some relief, because it felt like it.
So you're just seeing the dynamics of someone sharing deeply, and then that being reflected back, just the sort of the healing aspect of it. And you saw that with Hope and the interaction with Hope and I.
Yeah, and it is simple. It's a simple process. I could see it.
Yeah, you can see the simplicity of the process and the benefits that are the healing of it. And it sounds like you really viscerally experienced it. You could really sense it, and it was like, oh, I really sense it. Yeah.
And just a little bit with what Catherine said about how the capacity, but for me, it's about being careful when I do empathy or when I listen, is because of my role. Yeah, I may be good at listening, but my need to always want to help the other person is what I have to always keep in check. So it's not just about the technique of listening or being empathic. It's okay, just allow the person to find his own path, which is what I'm also getting here, the work that I would need to do for myself.
Yeah, as you're in the helping professions and you listen, but you also want to kind of help others. kind of take a step and you're saying, oh, maybe just listen and, create that listening space. That's sort of your growing edge, like what you're needing to sort of practice and learn. And
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the closed room so that everybody will be coming back
All right.
in the next minute.
Well, I feel totally heard.
Okay, feeling heard to your satisfaction. Great. Yeah, well, this is wonderful. I really appreciate everyone being here. It was very meaningful for me. And we'll now have a chance to, others will kind of be joining us within about 40 seconds. And then we'll have, everyone can share for 30 seconds or so your experience. So thank you.
I just dropped a name, speaking of wanting to help. I saw this connection with the collective trauma, and Thomas Hubel is also had parents who were in concentration camps and has studied collective trauma across Europe. So I just wondered if any of you had heard of him or his work, or if you feel like looking into it. I know he's got some YouTube talks, and he's been he's associated with Harvard Medical School now, but it's mostly through meditation and cellular level healing, if you're interested.
Yeah, thanks for that. I saw the conference that he did. Okay, thanks. Welcome back, everyone. Oh, yeah. So, Bill, you're.
Oh, Larry is our new master of ceremonies.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So now we take maybe 30 seconds to a minute of just sharing. What is this experience like to be communicating in an empathic empathy circle? What does it feel like? And I'll just go around the room, and I'll start with Andrew. How did it feel?
It felt great. It felt slower than I think I'm used to having conversations, and I think that was a good thing. And it also felt I don't know, more like keeping company with someone than trying to get something done.
Thank you. And Hope, would you share, please?
I really enjoyed this experience a lot. I have some experience with NVC and couples coaching couples, so different ways of listening modalities. And there's something very sweet and rich about this process. So I am looking forward to doing the training.
Thank you, Hope. And Dorothy, would you share, please?
So I found the experience, there was a bit of impatience for me, although I enjoyed listening and reflecting back, but because I'm so action oriented, I found myself having to just talk to myself and say, I'm here to listen and to reflect back. And I'm not here to act in any way. I don't have to. So that's just what was going on inside. But I really enjoyed the conversations and the exchanges in our group.
Thank you, Dorothy. And Catherine, would you share, please? Whoops, you're on mute.
Sorry, that's the most popular thing being said these days. You're on mute. I really appreciate what's going on here and what you're trying to do. I think has so much power. And I think what kept coming up for me is just the mindfulness, the feeling of mindfulness, and being present for someone is more than, it's like there's so many layers to listening. And what came up was not just listening to words, but listening to feelings and emotions, and staying so present with that person as opposed to what you're going to contribute, what you're going to offer, what you're going to judge, because the act of having to repeat back to them in a way that really reflects what they're trying to say and feel is an act of care. And it's I don't know, it just feels like the essence of being mindful and having a wonderful human exchange.
Thank you, Catherine. And Craig, would you share, please?
Well, I guess I'll just share how I feel, which is quite spacious and relaxed and simple, really. And I just think it was a wonderful experience for me, and I really appreciate being here. I'm looking forward to more.
Thank you, Craig. And Shoshana, would you share, please?
Yeah, sure. I didn't realize how I had not really processed some things that have gone on in our house over the last few weeks, and talking about communication gave me a really sweet opportunity to verbally process some conversations regarding communication that I had with my adult children that have been visiting on and off for the last 3 weeks. So I really enjoyed the process today personally. More so, I felt more like therapy for me today, more than ever, than ever has in the past. It was quite unique, and I just want to thank those who are in my my Zoom room for participating so well today.
Thank you, Shoshana. And Molly, would you share, please?
Hello. Yeah, it was the first empathy circle for me ever today, and I feel it was a really, really rich experience, really powerful in a very, how much in a short time, just like random interactions with strangers can feel like so close, just by kind of having this empathy approach just by listening. And yeah, I'm really grateful to feel this experience and to share the space with people who are in a group. I felt like we could talk much longer in between us. And one of the participants who was saying talking on top of each other. I have this thing with my husband who is always talking on top and always talking on top, and I felt I suddenly can step back and also have more empathy and listen what he's saying. Like some other members in our group, they were saying similar topics. Thank you for sharing those stories.
Thank you, Molly. And Brenda, would you share, please?
I found it to be a very satisfying experience. Everyone slowed down and paid attention to each other. And like Molly was saying, how people talk over each other and on top of each other. I tend to experience that a lot in my circles. And that was very refreshing to take the time to stop and just focus on one person and listen to what they have to say. And then for the other person to focus on me and what I have to say. And it's very refreshing, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Brenda. Maria, would you share, please?
Sure, I was in mute. Thank you guys for this wonderful experience. In our group, we share a lot, not just this experience to improve our capacity to be empathetic, but we share about our life feelings and good and bad emotions related with that. And this was very important because the empathetic circle is about feeling good stuff and bad stuff, because in this way we can just feel better. And yes, I agree with our friend that say that this is a little bit therapeutical, right? Because this was actually therapeutical. So I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And Garan, would you share, please?
Yes, I mean, many things have been said until now in this round, and I agree with all of them. For me, the experience that I had today was like you start like without to know the person that is on the other side, and then through active listening and doing empathic practice, you start to become closer to the other person, to listen, and you feel like a bit more attached to the others, and the circle becomes smaller in some way. And there was a nice experience, yeah. And I believe that with this practice, it could be happening with other groups, other people, yeah, to connect, to feel closer to the others one, even if you don't know them, yeah. And thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Duran. Thank you. And Leslie, would you share, please?
Yes, I like the idea that you can get in a virtual space, you can still get to know people in a very different way, but also the common stories that were shared. For me, that was really quite powerful as well. And just the act of slowing down was quite sort of something I think I need to take forward.
Thank you, Leslie. And Cam, would you share, please?
I feel connected and content, and I'm surprised that like within 15 minutes I feel like I have a deeper connection with someone than I have with work colleagues that I've known for years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cam. And Dorothy, would you share, please?
Yeah, I shared.
Oh, thank you. The screens are moving around a little bit. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay.
I think I've covered everyone who don't
Jamie,
have.
Jamie.
Jamie, would you share, please?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm not able to use my video because the network connection is not really good. For me, this experience, this is my first time, and it gave me, I think it speaks to me to listen. I'm not a really good listener. And today I learned that listening is important to understand other people's feeling and heard what they are trying to communicate. So I'm looking forward to joining another session and to learn how to be very active in and to become an empathetic person. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And I think I've gotten all the participants, and then we have the Empathy Circle Facilitators. And Edwin, I have to ask you how we're doing on time.
We could try. We got a couple minutes, but if we're quick, it'd be good to hear from everyone.
So I'll start and just say, this was phenomenal. I just love these empathy circles. That's it. I just love it. So let me look for ECFs. Dwayne, would you share, please?
Sure. I enjoyed the magic of the Empathy Cafe experience, and it was especially enjoyable to have my sister Brenda here, and I hope to see other family members here in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. And Maureen, would you share, please?
Yes, we had a wonderful human exchange, really, and I'm still amazed. This evening, I'm really amazed at what can happen on Zoom. How this Zoom can connect people. It has all the elements of good communication.
Thank you, Maureen. And Bill, would you share, please?
Sure. I just want to express my appreciation to everyone who is in our breakout room and everyone here who are coming. I'm sorry. hours of the day or night. It's a first step. It's a small step, but it's absolutely important. And I just have so much appreciation for your open heart and your courage. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Edwin, would you share, please?
Yeah, as always, just really enjoy the circles. Have a lot of gratitude for everyone being here. And we're going over a minute or two, but here's a link to cohort 12D that will start Mondays, January 31st is the date. So that's the link where you can sign up for that cohort. And then you can also fill out the feedback form. So if everyone takes a second right now to just click on that feedback form, the second link for the feedback, you just click on that right now. You can add your email and your contact info, and also kind of your level of interest for how you want to take part in the training if you want to, and we'll put you on our email list, etc., to get you up-to-date information. So yeah, that's it for me. Bill, do you want to?
Just to let you know, I did put a link if you're interested in empathy in schools. I did put a link in the chat. I have a Thursday morning discussion about that, but also my email is there. And if you just have any questions or you want some ideas, I'd be happy to share them with you whenever. With that, I think we're ready for jazz hands.
Jazz hands, I'd like to get a portrait of everyone, just saying goodbye. See you next week. We'll be here at the same time, so I hope to see you there. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
And if you're a facilitator, to stay back, we'll just do our facilitator debrief. Yeah. You can just, yep. Bye. There you go.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Maria, glad to see you. Good to see you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Good to see you, Brenda.
Bye.
So great Dwayne brought you.
Good.
That's just
Thank you.
Fantastic.
By the way, you're the more attractive sibling, Brenda. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, you want to do the debrief, Bill? And I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, sure. I kind of lost something.